let's design a poster illustrating the concept of a mouse being the a mouse being for a designer next to a keyboard for programmer. Contrast and contrast both sides with different styles that match their mood and tone harmoniously. Harmoniously, right, harmoniously. Let's design a poster. So we're going to use ChatGPT 5 to call the image generation service. And it could even, I think it could even use ShopBirdie. I'm going to have to try integrating because we've got ChatGPT inside ShopBirdie. We don't have ShopBirdie inside ChatGPT just yet. But with MCP, I believe we can do this. So what I'm just showing you here, guys, is you prompt it, you create text to image. So you just need to prompt what you want to see, and the model is going to try to generate an image. You can give much detail. So effectively, you can say like, make it a photo shoot using this camera lens with this mood lighting and this staging order. You can actually structure it just like a professional photo shoot. The prompt. Or you can just use a quick prompt and let the AI try to think of something creative for you. One thing that ShopBirdie does is it can take your quick prompts and make them fully detailed with all the important data structure. So the image model doesn't need to think so much about what to create. It kind of already knows because we have enhanced your prompts. So you get like a superpower of prompt enhancement and this level of image generation. So this is the image. Mouse for designer, keyboard for programmer. It just kind of illustrates the sort of two sides, but like, yes, you need the mouse is used for both, and actually the keyboard is used for both, but the mouse pad is, that most of the time the mouse has a mouse pad. And the applications in the past, I've been a founder for many years. I've been in technology for many years. I ran Series A level. I got my Series A in investing with Playbasis, and I learned so much about all the pain points of design. Even going all the way back to game design, through to a front end code, even to the pain of installing Adobe Photoshop. Once they changed to I was in around Photoshop 4, 5. After about 6, 7, and so forth, they really started building a huge set of software. And it wasn't the same Photoshop app that I remembered. Suddenly you had to do all this Cloud Connect and install all these background apps and manage the license keys and use their stock photo service and use their tools. And then many times your company was assigning you that account to use that software. And then if you don't work at that company or on that company account anymore, right, you won't be able to save your work, you won't be able to use it. So there's just so many pain points when it comes to design. And I just think that generative AI has, the coders, the developers, the software engineering side have benefited the most from generative AI so far. They're the ones that are, I guess we're the ones that are completely accelerating our velocity with code. We can just do so much now. I mean, I think there's no doubt that all the models are the best in code. So that's now settled. But I think the design side, designers, I think they're the next group. We're the next set to get more of the benefits from AI. And you think about it, like design is so critical to everything. Everything that is produced in the world is, at least done well, has been designed. So design is like probably the first step, I think, in some sense. And so like, even even the styling of how you design, right? Because you could have the same overall design, same layout, but in a different style. It could be for different colors or different seasons, for example. So there's like more than just design, there's layout, there's styling, there's dimensions, there's file formats. Suddenly, when you're creating images, the file sizes balloon up. They're huge. There's huge assets in terms of storage required and bandwidth. So even just to send this over the air it requires going through a lot of intermediaries and routing on the right systems and content delivery networks. But then storing it is going to use up your phone storage. It's going to use up your cloud storage. It's going to use up your computer's storage. So we need a service to manage all these images. And right now, when I share this image from ChatGPT, I can't necessarily just embed that image directly into my website. I could just look at it because it's within the wrapper, or it's within the chat window of the ChatGPT. So and I don't believe it persists forever. I think you actually have to save it. So what ShopBirdie MCP server is effectively enabling is we'll have this as a persistent image for you that maps to your generations, and then your image generations maps to your products or your key image endpoint, right? Whatever the final image should be. And if that image doesn't exist, it would generate that image. So you can just provide a list of products or things, and it will look through the gallery to see if it has anything. And if it does, load that. Otherwise, create a new one, generate a new one. So we send about 4 billion images every day on the internet. Most of those images are, I would say, kind of pre-image generation, right? The vast majority of images, well, I think there's a massive percentage of images going forward will have been generated through AI, or at least some level of AI layers. And whether it's filters, whether it's enhancing, upscaling, all of these things, editing, it's all being done with AI. So customers I think, are used to using design type software to create content in places that weren't necessarily the first thing of when you think about designing something. So you can use a Photoshop and Illustrator, right? That's PS, Photoshop, and Illustrator AI. Those are the icons in the Adobe suite. You can use that, but you need a credit card. You have to download the license, and you have to use the mouse all day. And if you're using the mouse, and really concentrating, your hand will start feeling tired. So the AI can now help you do a lot of the work, and then you can do the final 10%, just reviewing and approving and polishing here and there. But we'll learn as we get better at our own design style. I think it would be helpful if ShopBirdie could help manage sort of the prompts, the evals, and even maybe make some recommendations in terms of style sheets, and even provide an SDK or a bundle file that helps to offload some of the processing, some of the final rendering, the visualization through our system, our lens, to help speed it up, to help it make it look nice. And I think that's kind of the promise of AI generated images. And also, this is content, and the sort of content is like the most the most high frequency traded object in the internet, right? I think is maybe transaction volume, but content is got to be up there. So these are new forms of content, and we can talk, and I can write a bunch of text. You might get bored of hearing me talk so long, and then you might get tired to read all this text. But when I make an image, that translates across all kinds, and it's perfectly suited for social media. And you'd be surprised that there's Photoshop and Illustrator and the professional tools, Canva, Figma, PowerPoint. All of them need the mouse or the touchpad, so you have to have the mouse. And then it's not really on your phone. It's not so easy. You kind of have to be an expert, right? So with ShopBirdie, you don't have to be an expert, but if you want to use all of those expert knowledge, you can use that with the prompt. So you can tell the model which camera lens. You can tell the model how to focus, background blur, this in focus. You can tell the model how to arrange the layers what is in the front, what is in the back, what is in the middle. You can do all of this with the prompting. So ShopBirdie does a lot of the help. We would like to help with the prompting side of these models and the evals, because we plan to scale this pretty tremendously. And we would like it so that the output of how we are able to utilize these cloud resources, the computers, we would like it to be a useful output. And essentially the goal is to do that exponentially. So we will consume the generously donated cloud resources from Microsoft, and we will scale that. And as we go, we will basically be running this always on, so that we are generating as much value as we possibly can of the state of the art of AI, and building in the areas where there's lack of training data, and trying to be valuable and useful that way. And Thailand is a very, very creative culture. Thai people regularly win advertising and marketing awards. The level of artistic talent in not just Thailand, but in Southeast Asia as a whole is unbelievable. I would say it's probably the best. Korea for a long time was the place that did a lot of the outsourced concept art and design for video games like StarCraft and Blizzard and those games. So the programmers would write the code, and then for a lot of tasks, they would outsource to designers, or they would need to work with a team that's really good at design. And I was working from the video game world, even with game design, all the way to making my own websites and having to manage style sheets and shadows and colors, and it's very complicated, to using Photoshop and using stock photo websites and trying to extract backgrounds and make the layers. But to me, extracting backgrounds was not the hard part. That was pretty easy. Photoshop had the magic wand tool. Then you could use the eraser. What was more interesting was, how did you use the different layers? How could you actually arrange the image? What was this kind of story that you wanted to tell? And I think I learned a lot of that because I was very into video games and fantasy and like tabletop games and role-playing games and card games that always had great design. You were buying this card almost as much for the picture as you were for whatever the text said that the card did. So I think the design is also something that I like. Books that have pictures in them, or diagrams and charts and visuals. If I just have to read a ton of text, that text has to be written in such a way that it won't fog up my brain. It either has to be really well written instructional style text, or like the dialogue has to be really good, the pacing has to be really good. If you just want me to read only text, it's now becoming a hurdle. But with images, yeah, I think people browse images all day long, right? Even on TikTok, the first few seconds of the video is a screenshot of the top thumbnail scene, and the first scene of the start of the video. So at 0.00 is where you put your thumbnail image, and then the first screenshot before one. That way, if there's any lag when the user clicks, you have that buffer, and then it starts playing. So there's every image, every video also has like at least, well, of course it has more than two images, but it would still load a frame, which is effectively like an image. So can this expand to video? Of course it can, but I think we still need to take some time to like get some basic workflows that we really want to have, and get that fine tuned, and then I think we can continue this exploration of all the best new things we can do it from a creative standpoint by working with people who are creative by nature, or want to learn how to be creative. That would help us so much, because then we could put those credits towards generating beautiful artwork, beautiful design, visualizations of information. And this, I think, can speed up knowledge transfer and sort of explanations, and helps to crystallize when you visualize it that way. When you can illustrate what something, how it flows, how it works, what are the mechanics of it, in a simple way, that's making something complex easy to understand, which is really hard to do. But with a good design, you can kind of do a lot of that. You can kind of get that done really well. And what I really like about this poster that it generated, and again, I gave it a very basic prompt. I wasn't very specific with the creativity aspect, but it also chose the classic, I think, Microsoft style IntelliMouse with the left-right button and then the scroll wheel. and on the sides they had the clickers, so you could navigate left to right quickly. These, of course, were used for extensively for gaming, and the gamers always wanted to know like what mouse had the highest sort of precision. How fast did the laser, the optical lens, read the movement of the mouse, and so gaming and like I guess kind of related to that is this sort of like high performing compute applications. Those seem to always be creating a simulation of something that totally uses up utilizes all the compute that you have available to you to produce some amazing form of content or media or whatever it is. A simulation, I think, is super valuable, and people want to do that. And I think anything we can do to help lower the barrier and help people design, and then when they design something, have it work within how coders, even in code gen tools, work with design assets. So I think having this is going to be extremely valuable for people. And the great thing about the ShopBirdie interface is we can plug in a new model. So right now we use GPT Image 1, which many people feel is the best. And we map to their API and their structured responses quite faithfully, and we're running that on Azure. So we're using the Azure endpoints with that. So, but we can replace the model as well. When GPT Image 1 has the next version, maybe GPT Image 2, we can just plug that right in. So there's no issues there. We'll be able to use all of this. And so we want to be able to effectively help kickstart this market and work with people and give them free access to these tools. The only thing that we're going to ask in exchange is help us to get enough training data. So that may mean asking you to review some number of these generations and then telling us which ones that you would approve or you like the best. And that will help us. And so we'll learn from that. And but also, we don't want people to just only generate one or two once or twice. We actually want them to generate a whole bunch, a whole lot of them, fill up a whole gallery, and then make multiple galleries and do it in different topics of their life or different subjects or different area of their business or different projects. And then have a way for you to say, I want this on my website, or I want this on my bio page, or I want this in my CV. I want to add this as a cover page to my catalog. You can use these things and generate all these images. And I think I think this will replace text, actually. I think to print text, a textbook, you can just convert all the tokens on each page into a visualization that preserves the text, but also enhances it with a layout and a design, typography, and other kind of golden ratios, so that everything is placed wonderfully and has a great layout, great design, and also programmatically change it for each learner or each reader, so that if someone prefers this setting or that setting, they can read a story about underwater worlds or this mountainous jungle, right? And it depends wherever they want to go. The book can change those images. So it's not that we want a customer that will only use this like one or twice. We want them to actually create folders or gallery topics, and we'll generate images in those topics, and we'll ask you to kindly tell us which ones you like the best, and then we'll have a lot for you. So that would be I think a good use for these cloud credits. So we'll just have to produce these at scale and use these cloud credits, these resources, to create an artifact or set of artifacts that are going to be very useful for our customers in business going forward, and to learn from that and to see what we can do to contribute back to the overall AI landscape and ecosystem, and allow us to also play a part, among key industry players. So that's what we're looking to achieve, and hopefully we will invite all of you guys to join us on this ShopBirdie journey. Awesome, thank you. Bye bye.